This is your weather update for the 25th of March 2016. I'm meteorologist Chris Lasakis for Eyes to the Sky Environmental Services. What we're looking at here is a visible satellite for North America. We're going to back it up a few hours and put it into motion for you here so that you can see what's going on. Right now we're looking at the effects of a large trough over the central and eastern United States. You can see the jet stream pattern entering from the northwestern U.S. and then we come under a zonal pattern over much of the south central and southeastern U.S. before the jet turns back northeast, and in association with this long wave storm system, long wave pattern that moved through here yesterday afternoon. By the way, that storm system that passed through here yesterday afternoon was associated with the second IOP, or Intensive Operation Period, of the Vortex Southeast program, and was a part of that yesterday. And it was our second IOP, and we made some interesting observations even though there were no tornado warnings in the North Alabama area. And so we learned a lot even in the absence of severe storms. You can see also from this satellite image a very active subtropical jet stream blowing across from the eastern Pacific to the Gulf of Mexico across the Mexican plateau. And also some what looks to be cold air advection cloud cover, some open cell cumulus coming off California as a result of cooler air blowing over the warmer surface ocean waters, steepening the low-level lapse rates, as well as some stratus cloud cover that is beginning to wane, beginning to dissipate over the eastern United States. This is in association with the storm system that is moving to the northeast currently, and just a leftover cloud cover band. But as the heating from the sun comes over us, the ground warms up, and we get some radiative transfer off the surface, and you begin to lose the saturation in association with the cloud deck here. So it begins to erode the cloud deck. Some overall cloudiness across the portions of the northern plains, various types of clouds here in this northwestern flow coming down in association with the trough. But so basically a relatively quiet weather pattern now across the southeast would be the way to conclude this. You have some storms over the northeastern Gulf with that cold front that came through here yesterday. Moving well into spring now. Spring started back on the 21st. And so we're going to begin to look for more of these chances for severe storms as we head into April. Hard to say exactly how bad it could get. Don't want to really postulate much on that. You know, things can change rapidly. It might end up being kind of a dud of a season here in the Tennessee Valley, or we might heat up and get more tornadic activity as we head into April. We've had a lot of tornadoes in the deep south this winter, but really nothing in the North Alabama area directly. We really haven't had much north of Birmingham over the past 4 months. Had those big tornadoes that moved through northern Mississippi and extreme northwest Alabama back on December 23rd, 2015. But that was mostly confined to the northern portions of Mississippi, where the most intense tornado damage occurred, if you remember back to that. So now we're going to jump over and look at some weather model data now. Just wanted to give you a brief update there on the visible satellite imagery. So moving into the weather model world now, we're going to look for a storm system that's going to affect the deep south beginning on Sunday afternoon. And I want to show you the 500 millibar plot for the jet stream for that time period. This is from the 18Z NAM here on the 25th of March. We're going to look ahead, and you see that at the current hour, like I had mentioned, you have that northwestern flow coming down through the Pacific Northwest into the Intermountain West of the United States. And then you have this zonal or east-west flow pattern coming across the deep south, the southern portion of the CONUS. And then you turn into this trough here that's lifting over the eastern United States, and a little bit of subtropical jet stream here but across the south. But let's put it into motion. You can see that trough from the northwest beginning to move down, and to the south central portions of the United States. We turn around and have southerly flow at the surface. And out ahead of this thing and moving into Sunday now, this would be 10 a.m. on Sunday, you can see the trough is beginning to push toward the Tennessee Valley. And previous models have really weakened this trough, like so many of them before this one, this season, as it moves toward the North Alabama area. If we go back to the previous run, we can see how that actually unfolded, and the models depicted that happening. You can see the trough moves down, it strengthens a bit right in through there, and then it really, right here, and then it weakens again, like so many of them have this season. And you can see the 850 millibar representation of that. I don't think I really want to stick around to let the model, the 18Z run, come out much more. I'm going to go ahead and just show you this one. So we have a little bit of a low-level jet streak come through here during the afternoon hours on Sunday, and then it really lifts to the northeast. So nothing real concerning. But what is interesting is we do have quite a bit of surface-based instability that comes into play here during the afternoon on Sunday. You can see the NAM model. Again, this is just one model, hinting at near 3,000 joules per kilogram worth of CAPE across northeastern Mississippi at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Now let's zoom in here to a SCU-T, a simulated point sounding SCU-T from that time, and you can see there's not a lot of low-level turning of the winds. Well, there is low-level turning, but there's not a lot of speed shear, so you don't have a lot of increase of wind speed with height. You have some turning that's really good, but you don't have that increase in speed, especially through the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere. And that's something we really look at for the production of mesocyclones and tornadoes. And you can see that's evidence also reflected by this surface to 3 kilometer storm relative helicity only being 146. That's on the low end for Dixie Alley for producing tornadoes and associated with supercell storms at least. You can get weaker end tornadoes in an environment like this, but certainly nothing significant unless you have boundaries laid out that can help to back the low-level winds and produce deeper wind shear or stronger wind shear. But something that is interesting is with this amount of instability here, surface-based CAPE parcels are expected to get up to around almost 3,700 joules per kilogram. That's very high. And also considering this freezing level temperature, you can see where the temperature profile crosses the 0-degree isotherm right here is right around 10,000 feet. And if you look at wet bulb zero heights, they're below 10,000 feet, obviously down there around 9,000 feet. This would seem to indicate the potential for large hail. If all else comes together for it, we could have some vigorous updrafts that could rotate some, but not tremendously. But large hail would seem to be the big player here, and maybe even some wet microbursts due to this area of drier air, which is over top an area of saturated air. What can happen is you get a lot of evaporative cooling here, a lot of negative buoyancy, and it can fall down into or collapse into this area of greater moisture and cause a microburst to develop there. Lots of particles and hydrometeors can fall out there and create damaging thunderstorm wind gusts. So large hail and damaging thunderstorm winds would be the main threat with this one on Sunday. And what we'll do now is we'll go to the Storm Prediction Center and I'll show you the Day 3 thunderstorm outlook. You can see it outlined in yellow there. A slight risk for severe storms across northern Mississippi, extreme northwest Alabama, and western Tennessee. I really haven't looked at a whole lot of detailed information, but just a hunch, I would probably put the main threat for this slight risk right in through here, northern Mississippi and southwest Tennessee. The greater surface-based instability looks to be in that area, and thus the potential for the most vigorous updrafts, large hail, and damaging thunderstorm winds could result from that. So we'll have to watch that. But past that, if we go back to our model data for just a moment, we can see that once that clears out, The GFS, by the way, is not as vigorous with that storm system on Sunday. It's a little more lax on that, and so we have a little bit of model disagreement. Obviously, the GFS has issues with the boundary layer and portraying the instability that can exist in the boundary layer in severe storm environments. We'll go ahead and roll through that here. We're now into Sunday, and you can see not as much surface-based CAPE. I think we hit 1,500 across central Mississippi up to 1,000 in northwest Alabama. So not nearly as much, but still indicating at the threat for severe storms. And we'll go ahead and roll this through time. You can see some possible severe storms if all else comes together across Arkansas and parts of the eastern plain states there. Moving along. You have some CAPE instability that tries to return, but nothing major. So this will probably be hit and miss for a while until more systems come into range of that model. I don't want to look too far out because you could get into what's known as the meteorological voodoo land, where you're really just, the model is basically there's interference and stuff and noise in the model, so you don't want to go out too far. But there's our trough for Sunday, coming across the deep south in the eastern United States. A chance for thunderstorms Sunday afternoon. The storms look to be severe, as we mentioned previously, more west of here. And then we begin to form what's known as ridging, and the temperatures will warm up. The thicknesses increase in the atmosphere, temperatures will warm up. Next week, this is looking ahead to Wednesday morning. Will be pretty warm during that time as we look for our next storm system to begin to roll toward us on the day Thursday. We had, again, IOP2, a Vortex Southeast program, was yesterday, the 24th of March, and we're looking for IOP3 to potentially happen within the next week. As we're on a break right now, we're on what's known as a hard downtime through Sunday afternoon, Easter, and we come back and start the forecast briefings again on Monday. But yeah, so our next storm system might move in here Thursday of next week. We'll have to watch that. It really doesn't look overly promising as most of the energy goes north of the Tennessee Valley. But we could still get some severe storms. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But right now, I'm not overly impressed. And we'll start back here, and I'll run through. I'll tell you what, we'll just loop this so that you can see the progression. There goes our Sunday storm system. And here comes the Thursday one. See how it lifts to the north of the Tennessee Valley mostly? Then you have some northwest and westerly flow behind it. We'll let it run through one more time. Again, this is the 500 millibar winds. There's our Thursday system again. I don't know, it just kind of gets the feel to me like it's going to, I kind of get the feel that it's going to move north of the area of the Vortex Southeast domain. But you never know. We could, this could be a model run that's not consistent. I really haven't been looking run to run in the model data. And we'll take also a brief gander at the European model, the ECMWF, and we'll take a look at what's forecast to happen here. Put that in motion. So it too shows the system coming through on Sunday. We need to slow this down. There goes the Sunday system. There's the Thursday one. So it potentially shows it a little stronger. So we'll need to keep an eye on it, but still I'm not overly convinced. This season, it'll need to change in a hurry, folks, honestly, for it to be a bad one. And that can happen. It can only take one storm system. It only takes one storm system to have a bad tornado season. But historically speaking, this is not a good sign for a really active year as tornado season. Of course, many of you are not unhappy about that, I know. And I really don't wish for tornadoes either. It's just that I like to study them when they do come along. We'll be watching them when they do come along, kind of thing. But so what's going on is we have these quick progressive systems that are coming across, and the subtropical jet has had a big influence on the storm systems this spring and winter as a result of El Nino being more active. But there's a certain tilt that the storm systems have been taking on this year that has been unfavorable for severe storms. They've been taking on a very strong northeasterly to southwest component. The fronts have, the troughs have, and that does not allow for a lot of deep layer wind shear, generally speaking, and it also struggles to produce more instability at the surface. Oftentimes you don't get the strong Gulf flow at 850 millibars or in the lower levels to really bring in the strong surface-based instability that you need for tornado outbreaks. So that could change, but as of right now, it's looking like this season is going to remain hit and miss for a while. And so we'll just have to keep an eye on that and see how it happens. We'll scroll through. This is the sea level pressure chart. You can track the surface lows, and the looks like it's also got 850 millibar temperatures on there. And so we'll look ahead. The Sunday system, this would be right in through here. And then we'll move ahead through the week, and we'll end up looking at the Thursday. There comes the low pressure for the Thursday system. And there's the front draped right in through here off the low pressure, which is located in Wisconsin, forecast to be located in Wisconsin. And then looks like we get a secondary area of low pressure to actually develop. That could be interesting, maybe right in through here and then move east. See, that's on the Thursday morning, and then this would be Friday morning. And so it looks like the European model is a little bit later, slower with the storm system toward the end of next week, and potentially a little stronger than the GFS. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. Again, no big deal right now, but we'll certainly be looking ahead. These models will change a bunch of times between now and then, more than likely. So that's what's going on right now. And real quickly, we'll take a look at some current conditions. We'll pull up a METAR chart and discuss that a little bit. You can see right now Huntsville is at 59 with a 40-degree dew point. So you have northerly flow back behind that front that moved through yesterday. But you can see how quickly, actually it looks variable. Back here to the west, you still have westerly flow down here at Columbus, Mississippi, which, by the way, the Columbus, Mississippi NEXRAD radar was down yesterday. It's good that we didn't have any real big severe weather, any severe storms to speak of yesterday. The Columbus, Mississippi NEXRAD was down, but I know they're working hard to get that back up. Looks like you have to move further west to find the southerly flow pick back up. You probably have to go quite a bit west, actually. From this particular image here. But yeah, so we're going to have northerly flow continue for a little while before we pick it up back up from the south as we head into the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, I hope y'all have a great Easter and a great weekend with your friends and family, and take care. If y'all have any questions or comments about this video, feel more than free to post them.